All right, let's dive into a topic that everyone in tech bumps into eventually, choosing how to format data. It sounds simple, but this one decision can really make or break how well a project works.
And this is the big question, isn't it? CSV, JSON, or XML? For developers, data analysts, pretty much anyone in IT, this choice comes up all the time. Each one has its own personality, its own strengths, and picking the right one is definitely not a random guess.
So, how does one actually make that choice? Well, there are some really important questions to ask first. What about performance or scalability? As the data gets bigger and bigger, which format is going to keep up? Is it better to have something simple or something with super strict rules? This explainer is all about clearing that up. So let's get to know our three main players. But let's not just think of them as code. Instead, let's imagine them as vehicles, because each one is built for a very, very different kind of road trip. First up, we have CSV. That stands for comma-separated value. And its biggest selling point is, honestly, its simplicity. It's basically just a spreadsheet saved as a text file. All the data is laid out in nice, neat rows and columns. So simple that both people and computers can read it without breaking a sweat. If CSV were a car, it would absolutely be a zippy little sports car. It's super lightweight, unbelievably fast to get going, and just plain easy to handle. But, like a sports car, it's not really designed to haul a bunch of complex, heavy cargo. And that perfectly highlights the trade-offs, right? The pros are all about that speed and simplicity. It's readable, the files are small, and it's super quick to process. But that exact same simplicity is also its greatest weakness. It just can't handle complex nested data. And crucially, it doesn't really understand different data types. For example, a postal code like 08540 might get misinterpreted as the number 8540, and poof, that important leading zero is gone. Not good. Next up is JSON, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation. And let me tell you, this format has become the undisputed champion of the modern web. It organizes everything in key value pairs, which is a perfect fit for how JavaScript, the language that powers the web, thinks about objects. So what kind of car is JSON? It's the SUV. It might not be quite as nimble as that sports car, but wow, is it versatile. It can handle all sorts of data structures, from simple little values to really complex, nested objects. It's the perfect all-arounder for pretty much anything happening on the web today. So, this shows the fantastic balance JSON strikes. It can handle that nested, hierarchical data that CSV chokes on, and it's the native language for pretty much every web API out there. The flip side? For absolutely massive but simple datasets, it can be a tiny bit slower than CSV, and its tools for validating data aren't quite as heavy-duty as our next contender. And that brings us to the veteran of the group, XML, the extensible markup language. XML uses these descriptive tags to build a tree-like structure. The cool thing is, it's self-descriptive. Each piece of data is wrapped in a tag that explains what it is, which allows for some incredibly detailed information and really strict rules. Sticking with our analogy, XML is the semi-truck. It's not fast, it's not simple to drive, but it is built for one thing and one thing only, to haul massive, complex, and super valuable cargo, with a huge emphasis on rules, security, and making sure everything arrives exactly as it was sent. So the whole story here is about power versus overhead. XML's biggest strength is its rock-solid validation, using things called schemas. This makes it perfect for big enterprise systems where data integrity is everything. But all that power has a cost. Its syntax is really wordy, which leads to bigger files that are slower to process. In today's mobile-first world, that overhead is a huge deal. Bigger files mean more data usage, slower load times, and can even hurt a device's battery life. Okay, so we've met the contenders. Now let's put them side by side to really see the differences in sharp relief. This table just lays it all out so clearly. When it comes to structure, we go from CSVs, flat tables, to the nested worlds of JSON and XML. For rules and schemas, CSV has none, JSONs are optional, and XMLs are super extensive. And their core strengths are crystal clear. CSV is all about simplicity, JSON is about versatility, and XML is built for powerful validation. And this chart really drives the point home visually. For the exact same piece of data, look at that difference. CSV is by far the smallest. JSON is in the middle, and XML, with all its opening and closing tags, is the chunkiest by a long shot. This has huge real-world consequences for storage space and how fast data can be sent. Shaving off even a few kilobytes per request can add up to massive savings and a much faster experience for everyone. So, to boil it all down, CSV is the undisputed champ for simple, tabular data. JSON is the flexible, go-to standard for any modern web communication. And XML is the heavyweight champion for those big enterprise systems that demand absolute data integrity. Theory is great, but where do we actually see these formats being used? Let's take a look at some real-world examples to find them in their natural habitats. And it's pretty amazing how each one has carved out its own perfect niche. Data scientists practically live in CSV files for their machine learning models. Anyone building something for the web, like using the API from X, is going to be using JSON all day long. And those really complex, highly regulated industries like healthcare and finance, they still lean heavily on XML for its structure and security. Even everyday things, like Microsoft Office documents, have XML working under the hood. All right, we've seen what they are, how they stack up, and where they're used. Now for the most important part, how to actually choose the right one for a specific project. Well, it really just comes down to a simple 3-step process. First, just look at the data itself. Is it a simple flat table, or is it a complex tree with lots of nested branches? Second, define the top priority. Is the goal raw speed and simplicity, or is it ironclad rules and data integrity? And third, know the ecosystem. The tools and systems the data needs to talk to will often make the decision for us. And at the end of the day, this is the key takeaway. Making a deliberate, informed choice about a data format isn't just some small technical detail. It's a strategic decision that has a direct impact on performance, scalability, and the overall success of the project. And that leaves us with a final big thought to chew on. While JSON is the current king of web development and CSV is the darling of data science, the world of data is always changing. As our datasets get more and more complex and interconnected, which of these formats, or maybe, just maybe, a new one we haven't even seen yet, is truly built to handle the challenges of tomorrow?